Hey everybody, this is BDevine and this is coming to you on February the 2nd, and this is the day, well, what was yesterday was the full moon in Leo, but this is going to spark some interesting events. I heard one astrologer saying today that it's like the second day of the full moon in Leo because of the way that things are going to be moving around a little bit. So I'm going to talk to you about this today, but also some other things as we're going along. I hope that this finds you happy and well wherever you are, and I hope that you've been putting into practice some of the flame speak. Okay, you may have found that as you're going along, right, on your journey, especially understanding more, learning more, etc., that you are less tolerant of a lot of things, that the energy of Neptune moving now, it has since the 26th of January, moving into Aries, has sparked for you quite an amazing change. So although many of us think we think to ourselves that we're the ones that are bringing in change, when there is such movement with planets, okay, the planets are pushing this, whether you like it or not, into your life as well. And interesting things start to take place. With Neptune, as I explained to you before, sorry, I've got something itchy right there. As I explained to you before, it is a planet that is and can be illusionary, but it's also very dissolving. Things that you may have held strongly in your life, or things that you couldn't see clearly before, and with this energy now you can. So we also have Saturn coming into Aries, oh my god, on the 13th of February. We have the my moon is Aquarius, and my sun is Leo, right? And so they're squaring off with each other as we speak. So there's a lot of interesting things taking place. So we have Saturn in Pisces at 29 degrees, Uranus in Taurus. So if you're Taurus rising, so if you've got Taurus, it's going to affect you. So suddenly things taking place. It is a little bit retrograde, and strong Aquarius emphasis, which is about the whole collective, right? The humanity as a whole. So I'm going to talk a little more about this, bring in this flame psychology, talk to you about some different things, and away we go. All right. I will also put links in the comments for certain things that are coming up. February is a big month, and I will be hosting a Patreon live webinar that we've just done one for January, but of course I do them each month. You have to be a flame tier member to be a part of that, and it doesn't cost you anything then. And you can look back at all of them at that point. But I'm also offering a weight and body reset. It's a 4-week program. It is not anything to do with diets or anything like that. It is something that will balance you if you're too skinny or too big, right? Whatever it is, you will get your balance back in that, and you will have homework to do, etc. So it is the first time that it's going to be live for everybody. Okay, it is the way to shift the density. And if you have too much density, shift that protection as well. And if you don't have enough, okay, to mend those parts of you that are lacking, okay, or leaking. Anyway, it's quite deep. So I will put links for that as well. You can pay that one off if you want to. But anyway, let's get into this. All right, so the field is loud. Let's get precise. So we have the moon still bright in the sky. It was yesterday afternoon that it was in its full peak. We're not just talking about moonlight, we are talking about structure and disruption at the same time. Saturn is going to start tightening the rules. Uranus is snapping the old ones, shocking us with how things start happening, right? Eclipse is coming in as well. Oh my gosh. So, you know, I'm so glad that I started talking about this work and the flame and putting it all together, because you're going to need this as you move ahead. The era of everybody just like walking around trying to get information all of the time is going to change. And we are accessing, rather, all the doorways, all the vaults, all the information within us. And these planets are actually there supporting us as this happens, okay? So let me get into reading you some of my notes here. So this is simple. This is a transmission. We turn the volume down on the noise. We turn up the clarity signal, okay? And we use our flame psychology to integrate what's rising as well. Okay. If you're sensitive, if you've been feeling pressure, if you've been feeling agitation, if you've been feeling restlessness, if you've been having grief, or you've been feeling like I'm done, okay? This is a normal response to fixed sign heat and this eclipse building up, because we know with eclipses we have to shut doors, and sometimes they get slammed in our face. So you're not broken, you are being recalibrated here. And this is spiritual or psychological education. This is not therapy, right? But if anything intense comes up, just please do the right thing, hydrate yourself, ground yourself, speak to someone if you need to for support, okay? All right, here we go. The Leo full moon afterglow. The Leo full moon does one thing flawlessly. It exposes where you've been performing your life instead of actually living it. It rules the heart, it rules dignity, the spine, circulation, creative fire, and visibility that comes from truth. Now, when you look at your chart, you need to see where Leo is for you, what house, what planets are also there. So ask yourself, where have I been editing my truth to keep access? Where have I been over-explaining to avoid that whole being misunderstood? And where have I been waiting for approval before I move? Okay? Editing my truth, where has that been? Where have I been over-explaining? Where am I waiting for approval? It's so amazing that I don't have to do any of these things anymore. This whole last year specifically, with all of this work, you know, happening in my life, and me making the decision to be true to myself and say, you know, and this is what I said to myself, tarot drains me. I wasn't enjoying it. People were enjoying it. I get that, right? I know that people loved the tarot messages. I know that, right? But I certainly was not enjoying it anymore. It was draining to me. And when something is draining to you, what does that mean? It's not aligned anymore, okay? Do I still have intuitive abilities? Hello? Yeah, of course I do. Actually, they are more on fire than ever. But it was like a choice of alignment, mismatching. What am I really trying to say to the people? What am I really trying to do here? Obviously, I want to help restore humanity. I want you all to be powerful and strong and all awaken everything that you can be. But with me constantly giving the answers to whatever the message of the day is or whatever like that with cards, it wasn't helping that. It may appear that way, but it wasn't. I don't need cards in order to give you strong and powerful messages, right? So I had to stop trying to align with what I felt the collective wanted. I had to stop feeling like it was approved by others, what I was doing. And I had to stop over-explaining the message of the day or whatever it was. Now, this moon says no more of this, okay? This is for you as well. It's just really clean. We don't have to be aggressive. It's just no, right? So it's like a vibration here of understanding what your heart is in line with, what you feel brings you joy, and whether you're doing things also just so that everyone's not going to get really annoyed with you for whatever reason. Those things are all powerful indicators in your life, right? Okay, Leo versus Aquarius. Poor Becky. Although I'm pretty cool with my Aquarian moon and what my Leo does. Mercury's right in Leo for me in my 3rd house. So I'm supposed to be talking. I mean, communication has been part of this whole journey, but it hasn't always been a journey where I was even able to talk for so long because I had a stuttering problem. Not to mention agoraphobia and anxieties and all these things that I had when I was younger, which I know you can't imagine right now, but it was there. It was debilitating, right? So I get it. And to think that I would be a voice one day and people would listen was ridiculous to me since I could barely talk anyway. Or when I did speak, no one listened. Although they talk right over the top of me. I'll be in a group and away they go. So as I've healed, also restored myself and gotten stronger and stronger, it's another reason why I get so passionate about you all being able to do this, right? So the lunation is Leo opposite Aquarius. And right now, Aquarius is emphasized. We've got Pluto sitting in there too. Now, that may not have been where it was. I mean, I doubt it was there when you were born, okay? You have Pluto there now, so it may be important for you to look what house this is and what other planets are there too, right? But this conflict can look a little something like Leo says, I need to be true to myself. I need to speak out. It has to be a certain way. And Aquarius says, but the collective wants me to be palatable. I can't just keep on. They're not going to understand. This is me, right? But this is actually what's the feeling is at the moment. You need to say what you need to say. And the other side is like, but you can't say that because someone will get that from that and then that from that. And then they're going to hate you for it. And then it's like, you got to say it anyway. And it's like, no, you can't. You got to be careful because there's all this, you know. So this is where this thing happens, okay? And this is where the energy of Carl Jung and his method of psychology merges, okay, with the flame era. So the moment you try to be palatable to everybody, you inflate the persona, the social mask, at the cost of an inflated persona. And the cost of an inflated persona is the same as the shadow getting louder. If you've been feeling triggered, impatient, allergic to nonsense, or like, you know, you can see right through people, you're not becoming mean, right? You're just becoming unable to lie to yourself. And this is individuation energy. It is what the psyche is insisting on, wholeness. Your psyche is insisting on your wholeness. And the wholeness is not palatable, nice, love and light, kind and sweet. It's not. It is true. When you actually connect with the whole of who you are as an individual, okay? You're not outwardly being nasty, mean, or flippant, or rude, or aggravated, because that's not true, right? That's not whole. But the way in which you respond to someone else's behavior is going to be a different response to what they're expecting from you. So then they say, oh, you're just being me, right? They're not expecting you to stand up for yourself. They're not expecting you to be true to yourself, okay? But this is the new you. So take it or leave it. That's what you have to say to yourself with people. Saturn is at the end of Pisces. This is spiritual adulthood in a sense. Saturn is right at the end of Pisces right now. Sorry, 29 degrees. And that is a threshold degree. Endings, finals, consequences, mastery tests. We have a full moon, endings, finals, right? Pisces, Saturn says, where has your spirituality become porous? Where has this compassion for others become a self-betrayal? Where do you confuse energetic sensitivity with energetic access? Saturn in Pisces is like the elder is saying, boundaries are sacred. Discernment is love, and structure is mercy. The Jungian tie-in with this is Saturn is the wise elder or the Senex archetype when it's integrated. But when it's distorted, it becomes shame, self-punishment. I must be perfect to be safe. So today we're taking Saturn the right way. Don't punish myself into purity. I build my integrity into place. So you're choosing a boundary that you are going to enforce for 30 days. What are you going to enforce for 30 days? And one practice that you will do every day for 7 days. This makes it very magical. Small, consistent, and immovable. A boundary, a practice. Pretty easy. When it comes up, it'll get easier and easier and easier to enforce for you. Okay. Now, on top of this, we have Uranus, in Taurus. The nervous system awakening. So Uranus, again, pushes into Taurus at 24 degrees retrograde. When anything's retrograde, it's like an internal spin, right? So this can disrupt some things. Money stories, security strategies, the body routines, identity comfort zones. So if you felt restless, itchy to change your schedule. I'm itching, right? There was a funny noise then. Impatient with slow people. You're going to want things done. Sudden clarity about what's dead weight. Okay. That's Uranus. Now, the Jungian tie-in is Uranus behaves like a trickster and a liberator archetype, right? So it breaks what's rigid. It exposes what's false. It creates sudden awakenings. Suddenly, you're just going to get it. But here's the key. Uranus can feel like a little bit of anxiety if you don't give it a container. So when we pair Uranus and Saturn together, Saturn's the container, Uranus is the lightning. It's the cosmic clutch. You're eventually going to go. So we don't fear the lightning, we're just grounding the lightning. There will be things that come up in your life by surprise, yes. The way that you handle it is going to be by structure. It's going to be a lot better if you listen. If not, it's up to you what's going on with you. Okay. Now, these are only just brief little things that I'm looking at today because we have so many things going on. But the eclipse season is the door that removes that old timeline. Don't we get sick of those old timelines, okay? Eclipses are actually timeline events. So February 17th is a new moon. It's the time of the fire horse coming in, so the Chinese lunar year. The total lunar eclipse will be March the 2nd to the 3rd. So the solar will be February 17th, and then the lunar will be March the 2nd to 3rd. It's also a new moon solar eclipse on February 17th. So, how eclipses behave psychologically. They actually fast forward what's already inevitable. They remove what you keep on managing. They expose the hidden motivator beneath choices. This is why people feel weird around Calypso, eclipse season. So the sleep cycle might get a little bit of a shift. If there's something that has to finish, it's going to accelerate, right? Conversations get really blunt. This feeling of you know what you need to do, or fate, it starts to increase in your life, right? For February the 2nd, which is now, up until the 17th, don't force these giant decisions out of this pumping energy. Instead, just take that time to identify what's leaving in your life, identify what's also coming into your life, and build a Saturn container for the arrival, something structured in your life as well. So it's interesting. There are so many people that are like, what's coming? What you're learning here is that you are deciding what's coming and what's going in your life. That you are finally saying, I'm in charge and I like it. Instead of, oh, I doubt, I worry, I'm stressed. We don't want this anymore, right? We're sick of this. So you either, and like I say to people, you either take the information and do something with it and life changes, or you don't. So it's the whole thing, take it or leave it, right? You do what's right for you. Just a second. I don't know why my thing does this, but it does. Right, just 1 minute. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay, so the 4 archetypes in this portal. This portal activates 4 archetypes. And in Jungian terms, Carl Jung, who I love, 1 is the persona, the mask you use to belong. Okay, your persona. The shadow, what you disown, what you repress. No, I'm not like that. What you deny, right? Or you exile. Okay. So the shadow is what you don't really want to own about yourself. Now, it doesn't mean that it can't be fixed. So there gets to a point where there's really nothing that you haven't worked on. Okay. The self. Okay. The inner center. This is the intelligence of wholeness, okay? And the individuation. So this is the process of becoming whole, accepting yourself, all your flaws as well. It's not about being good or the best or, you know, I'm the most healed. You know, some bird said to me one time that she was the she was the most ascended on the planet. It's just ridiculous because nobody is, okay? We're continually learning, right? So one of her shadows, like if you want to talk about someone with an ego, one of their shadows is that they are pretending to be confident and strong and all of these things, but they're actually threatened by somebody who they actually see as strong and confident, right? So then they've got to throw in an ego attack at you. So, okay, look at this again. 1, the persona, what you use to belong, okay? 2, the shadow, what you disown, what you don't like, what you repress, right? The self, the organizing intelligence of your wholeness, the inner center, and the individuation, which is the process of becoming whole, not good, the best, whatever. Just whole. The moon in Leo triggers persona versus the true heart, okay? Who are you really? Aquarius emphasizes, or the emphasis here is triggers for collective identity versus individual integrity. Collective identity, individual integrity. Saturn tests maturity because it is a time lord, okay? Maturity and boundaries, okay? What's strong? Uranus breaks stale identity scripts. If you are pretending to be someone you're not, to believe something you don't believe in, to keep your mouth shut where you shouldn't, if you're pretending in any way, Uranus is going to force something to the surface to stop that, right? And we learn the most from things being difficult, don't we? We really learn the most. When someone attacks me in a video or, email, whatever it is, right? And there's just this little underlying attack going on. My old self would just be really annoyed about it, right? My new self is like, I see what that is. Okay, good. I can do something about that. I can let that person go. And I'm moving on. But I've learned a lesson there. For whatever reason, I've learned a lesson. Whether it was that I should have listened to my first instinct and said no in the very first time someone asked me something, right? Whatever. Whatever it is, you learn a lesson from it. That first instinct where you're like, something's off. But, oh, well, nothing's happened yet. So I'm just going to, it's fine. No. Your body protects you. Okay. Gives you all the information that you need. So Uranus will break any identity scripts that you're pushing forward, and eclipses remove what doesn't match. So we've got all these things supporting us for our growth. So your shadow side isn't evil either. Shadow is unintegrated power. Once you start to understand what triggers you and why does someone annoy you when they say something? Why does it get under your skin? Why is it upsetting you? When you understand why, then you can fix it. Okay? So people who are jerks to you are actually your biggest teachers. They really are. They decided to come into this life with the contract of annoying you. And you've got a contract probably to annoy somebody else as well. Right? But that's how they get that message or not. You get to this point where you learn to move past the lessons much more quickly than staying in it and repeating for too long. There will be some that do. Some people that just are sticklers for whatever it is that they're doing, and there is nothing that's going to stop that in their life. That's their choice though, right? So your shadow is unintegrated power. And the fastest way to stop projecting is to name what you feel, own what you want, choose what you're going to do, and stop outsourcing your authority. Name what you feel, own what you want, choose what you will do, and stop outsourcing authority. Okay? This is how we become extremely powerful beings. It's never going to be someone's going to give you something, a tap on the head, a magic wand, a med bed, a trip in a UFO, right? Because the trip in the UFO or time travel or whatever it is, you can already do this. You can already do this, right? You don't need somebody else to give you that. You can already do it. And that's what the flame work is about, is understanding how vast, how multi-dimensional, how multi-talented, okay, how your abilities will go through the roof when you stop giving your power away in so many directions, outsourcing, watching this, watching that, distracted here, distracted there, getting stressed over here and there. And you understand that you have the power to actually literally heal yourself, travel where you want to travel dimensionally, open up all of the portals that you need to, the vaults, the journey, the inner journey is all that it's ever been, okay? So, try this. All right. We put our hands over chest and lower belly. Inhaling for 4. Hold for 2 and exhale. Inhale for 4. I call my energy back from every false role. Exhale. Okay. Imagine now that you are standing at the entrance of a golden temple at night. You're in the beautiful entrance of a golden temple at night. When you look up, there is the moon. Bright and watchful, warm. And you walk inside this golden temple. And in the center of this is a throne. It's made of light, not for ego, but for truth. A lion approaches the throne, not to intimidate you, but to verify you. The lion looks into your chest, not your face. And it asks one question of you. Where did you give away your dignity to stay connected? Where did you give away your dignity to stay connected? Don't think. Let your body answer. Now, when you get this answer, place it on the altar in the middle of the room, like setting down a heavy crown that you no longer need to carry. And we say, I revoke permission to edit my truth. A door opens at this time, and an elder enters. It's Saturn. Saturn stabilizes you. The elder holds a simple ring of stone and says, one boundary, one practice, one promise. Now, in your mind, you're going to choose a boundary that you're going to hold until February 17, and one daily practice that you will do for 7 days. And when you choose them, the elder places the ring into your energetic field like a seal. And we say, my discipline is devotion. My discipline is devotion. Now the air begins to change. There's electricity in the air. Uranus lightning is here. A messenger of lightning enters. However your mind shows this, a current, a wing, a flash, a geometric bolt. And Uranus says, what routine keeps you small? What routine keeps you small? Let one image or word rise up. And we imagine the lightning touching that routine gently but decisively, breaking that loop without destroying anything. And we say, I release stability that is actually stagnation. I release the stability that's actually stagnation. And now a mirror appears. Not a scary mirror, an honest one. And in the mirror, you see a version of you that you have judged. The angry one, the needy one, the proud one, the tired one, the one who wants more. And instead of rejecting it, you speak to it like an adult. I see why you have formed. I will not exile you, but you do not drive the vehicle. And we ask the shadow one question. What power are you protecting? What power are you protecting? Receive the answer. Then bring that power into your heart like a flame returning home. And say, all my power belongs in my body. All my power belongs in my body. A final door appears, and it is marked February the 17th. You don't force this open. You simply place your hand on it and say, only what is true may continue. You may feel something leave. You may feel something arrive. Let it happen without a story. And now seal it with one sentence. My next timeline is built on integrity. My next timeline is built on integrity. Okay. All right. For the next 24 hours, there is no debating your own truth. You are just going to live it. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to tell anybody, whatever. It's your truth. You live it. We choose the path that loses distortion. We choose the structure that holds our fire. And we choose the freedom that returns us to ourselves. We're moving towards February 17th and then March the 2nd and 3rd. The sky is pushing into a reset. We walk clean, we speak clean, and we let the old story die without ceremony. It's interesting because it's always coming back down to us understanding ourselves in a really deep way. The way that you're going to understand yourself is going to be different than the next person and the next person. Some of the things that you want in your life, right, may also be some things that you don't like in others, you see. Right? If you want money, for example, you may not like people who are rich. So then you're sort of blocking yourself, right, from having it because you want to be liked. You see how that can work? So, when the collective are under pressure that you're seeing right now, people don't suddenly become irrational either. They just become not there. In Jungian language, this means that the projection increases. So it's when someone can't hold that inner feeling. So the psyche tries to place it on somebody else. So if they feel powerless, they're going to accuse you of controlling them. So they might be powerless to make their own decisions. They might be powerless to, speak with somebody. They might be powerless to make more money. So they're accusing you of controlling them. So they may feel confused, right? So they will, these are just examples, accuse you of deceiving them. Because they're all confused inside, so it's got to be your fault, right? They feel shame, so they accuse you of being flighty, okay, or not quite there. So they're feeling ashamed for something, but they're accusing you of it, that you should be ashamed of your behavior. They feel envy, okay, so they feel envious of you for whatever reason. And they will call your clarity, you've got a big head right now or something. Or it's your ego, right? And those things are psychological things. The eclipse season amplifies it because the eclipse exposes things that have been hidden. So when people suddenly accuse you of something, or there's a weird tech drama, or there's emotional tantrums, or people forgetting what you said and then rewriting the whole thing, it's a sign that the complex is activated. And a complex is a bundle of emotion and a story that hijacks perception. When someone is in a complex, they're not responding to you, right? They're responding to the inner character. So what this means with the flame translation is that they're not seeing you. They are seeing their own unintegrated self. So don't fight the projection. Just don't even try to correct the complex, right? Hold a boundary. Stay in the signal. One thing you could say is, I'm not available for your story about me. Simple as that. I know it doesn't sound simple, does it? It's like, I can't imagine saying that to somebody. Oh my God. No, I'm not available for that. When there's respect, I'll talk. You see? You may have spent your life just being on the back foot because you're supposed to be a people pleaser, but you're not. That is an aspect of survival for you. So you're not available for any bullshit. That's just the plain terms of it. right? So, yeah. So Saturn, Uranus as well, they're powerful planets, right? So Saturn says, contain it, prove it, stabilize it. And Uranus says, break it, liberate it, update it. So people swing, okay, into distortion, which is, or Saturn distortion, which is like control, being really rigid, being really strict, being punishing, right? Or Uranus, which is a chaos, impulse, like self-sabotage, like all of a sudden doing stuff. And the job here is integration. Your nervous system decides if it's wisdom or panic. Your nervous system's going to tell you every single time. So here we go. All right, let me see here. When you are recognizing who you really are, okay, it's always going to be this. There's a calm certainty. There are clean and strong boundaries. There's no urge to prove anything to anybody, right? We don't sit there saying, well, let me just explain myself. No more. The proof is in the pudding. It's an old saying, isn't it? Proof is in the pudding. If you're happy, if you are well, if you are energetic, if you are bright, if you have good, if your skin's all clean and, you look fresh, right? If you look happy, people are going to be more apt to say to you, well, what the hell are you doing then? Rather than, oh, let me just explain to you what I'm doing right now. And people are going to be like, well, who really cares? So the proof is in the pudding. How you live your life, the choices that you make, the health of your system, right? What you're letting go of, who you're letting in, who you have around you, right, as well. The self is the inner flame that does not negotiate, okay? So, we don't chase certainty, we just build this alignment. What is aligned with you? We reduce the noise. Less explaining, less arguing, less doubting, whatever habits you have, okay? You're choosing a discipline. You're doing a daily check-in with yourself. What's leaving my field? What's leaving? What's coming in? What's arriving? What's releasing? What is the one action that honors my future? Right? Let endings end without reopening the door. If the door shuts on an eclipse, just leave it there. If you don't, it will just keep being the same thing, only amplified. Right? Sometimes there are things like tech issues. This was a thing that was going on a little bit last week. And also when I was about to do my webinar on Saturday, I had 5 minutes. I came into my office all prepared and I had 5 minutes before I was live. My iPad and my computer were completely unplugged. Not only were they not plugged in, but the plug was out of the socket. It never happens. They're always plugged in my office, right? And I'm using my phone to go live. So everything was happening in 5 minutes where it was all trying to stop that flow, right? So I had to grab my old clunker computer, which is not easy to move around. It's once you put it there, you don't move it, right? So I had 5 minutes and then I was pressing my live button for the webinar. So everything was trying to distract, to stop, to upset me, to make me panic. I don't know, right? Whatever, but I just laughed. So when a person is near change in their life, the nervous system can often resist this. And the externalizing thing can be something's wrong or something's going to go wrong. But instead of becoming chaotic and all of those things that I would have been really stressed in the past, like, I mean, you have people who have purchased their ticket for a webinar and you're there unprepared, you've got everything all over the place, or it appears that way, right? But this time I was just like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Things started to happen, right? A lot of the times when people have a tech issue or an email issue where they can't hear the sound on something, they start going, wow, I can't hear it. And, oh, it's not coming through. Like it's my fault that it's not working, you know? And that is, you know, in the past, I'd be like, oh my God, is it me? Like, what? Oh, let me double check everything. Now I'm like, nah, there's nothing wrong with that. Go do that. There's nothing wrong, right? So, you know, if you breathe, if you restabilize yourself, if you recenter yourself, and then have another look at it, you'll probably find that things work. If all else fails, if your computer's acting up and this, that, and the other's happening, turn the whole thing off and do a restart. Or go back to the system restore, right, and start again. Sometimes it's changing a browser. Sometimes it's clearing your cache, right? Cookies, all that sort of stuff. The same thing in your life. Clear the noise. Clear all the tabs that you have open. Get back to a point where you felt safe. The system restore point. You know, defrag all your files. Start to clean it all up. And do a CC clean, I don't know, on yourself. And then start again. Something's not working. Everything's fighting you. There's no point trying to push on it at that moment as well. So sometimes people will demand approving of you. Proving of your work. Proving who you are. Whatever it is. They want reassurance. They don't want transformation. So if people are there to debate with you, they're not right. It's not aligned. No more. Right? So let's choose a stronger decree. I revoke all permission to be misunderstood by people committed to distortion. I release the persona that kept me acceptable. By whose standards? Okay. Usually the people's acceptable standards are pretty, you know, they've got a lot of problems themselves, right? I retrieve the power I exiled to stay safe. I retrieve that power. I choose Saturn's discipline. I accept Uranus's upgrade. I walk into the eclipse season ready. My signal is sovereign. So there we go. See, there's a lot in all of this for us. There's a lot that I can explain and continue to explain. And I will have the time coming up here pretty soon where I am really going to be pumping out some extra courses and things that you can just sit with and listen to. My 4-week live flame infusion, right? Weight and body reset will then transform itself also into a course. But if you want to do it live with me, it'll be February 28th through March. Okay. These things, there's so many things to teach you and share and upgrade us and bring us into our sovereignty and our strength. And understanding why we do something is always fascinating. Okay. And it goes into a lot of different influences that are around, as we know. Okay. It goes into those different influences and different circumstances and life things that happen. And, you know, juggling other areas of your life. But I know for myself that the most important thing to me has been to be able to maintain my connection, okay, whilst being able to control myself, my life, my direction, where I'm going for myself, and actually admit to myself where there is just something that I'm refusing to face, to see, to look at, something that might be blocking the transformation, the healing, the restoration, and really beginning to dive into all of those things without being afraid of it for whatever reason anymore. And as you're going through this journey, and I appreciate every single one of you who has been with me since 2009 here online, or even if you've met me in person, whatever it is, you know, you meet the person that of where I was at the time. And my goal has always been to improve myself, thereby showing you guys how you can do the same. A long time ago, I gave up learning psychology. It was actually child psychology that I started to study because of my son, my youngest son, being with his dad at the time. And I thought, you know what, I need to understand what he's going through, what's happening. And, you know, you start off with child psychology, but you end up, you know, doing all lots of other things. And I stopped after a year because I was like, this is not what I want to do, because this is going to make people have to figure everything out by themselves, you know, and that takes a long time, and we can heal people much quicker than that, right? So I pulled myself away. What I didn't realize, okay, is that it was always in there anyway. That I was always doing some form of psychological therapy with people, and then moving into holistic training and being an international training provider for holistic medicine. But the psychology, and I knew that the psychology and the spirituality needed to merge, and that's what the flame really is. It's a new, more powerful version of everything you knew before, right? Tied up so that it makes sense for anybody who might be listening for whatever reason. And so this is where I'm deciding now to bring this more into our faces a little bit. And it means that I have to go back over my stuff and and make sure like I'm double checking all the stuff as well. But it is absolutely amazing, the archetypes, the dynamics, the way that the planets work, the way that we work, the way that our journey works, the way the dimensions work, and the portals and the vaults and the this and the that, and how they can be applied in our life to be the best versions of ourselves possible. I know that there are people out there that already have this. I am hearing from people in Africa who understand what a mimic is, what the dome is, what the veils are, what this whole thing is, the dragons, the this, the that, everything. They understand it all without being taught it all. As soon as I started talking about it, they're like, finally somebody remembers. There is a reawakening here, not of a journey, but of who we really are. Remember, the angels always used to say, remember who you are. And we'd be like, well, what am I asking you for? Don't you supposed to tell me who the hell I am? This is what it is. This is what we are. Okay? We can do anything that we think the angels can do. We can do it. We've just been taught that we got to stay in a rigid structure. We've just been taught that that's just out of the question. Those are miracles. That doesn't happen. I'm here to teach you how it does. It's 111 on the clock. You may also be seeing a lot of that to remind you. Okay? Structures, boundaries, clean steps, relaxing, breath work, restructuring, less tabs open, right? Centered. Then, and only then, when you've mastered all that stuff, your psychic abilities go off the charts. Okay? I'm telling you, this is what happens. There's no other way other than to do this internal work. If you try it other ways, you'll get part way there, is basically what I'm saying. All the lessons we've learned over the years, all the little exercises, all the little things have all been there to improve, right? To guide, to improve, to show you, right? To lift you, to take you on a visualization, to bring you into a meditation and align things, right? But until you start looking at yourself and your own little quirks and your own little fears and your own little tactics and your own little survival method, until you start really diving into those things, you won't, and you close off all the distractions. Until you start doing that, you will never open as much as you can be. You will never open those things that you closed off waiting for the right time. You won't open them because it will never be the right time, because you're outsourcing. You're looking outside of yourself for answers. So look inside yourself for structure. Look inside yourself for answers, right? Once you have those structures in place, they come like this. They just come right out, right? The one thing that's going to be difficult is to, one thing I found a little bit difficult is that when you see right through something, you're going to want to say something right away. Sometimes it's not worth it. But just that you know is enough. You know what someone's doing. You know how it affects you. You're taking the next step. So I hope that you're enjoying this process. I don't know exactly, I can't tell you exactly this is going to be what we're doing, because it is shifting and changing. But I can tell you to start with the Flame Foundation course and go from there. You can call, we can have phone calls. There are payment plans. If you ask me, I'll set one up for you. There's a way around you doing anything if you really wanted to, okay? And let's move forward fearlessly. Okay, I will see you in the next message. Until now, bye for now. Until then, bye for now.